Zabaglione, Zabaglione. Most people call it Zabaglione. You know, you can call it that way if you want to, but Italian call it Lione. GL reads Lione. In spite of the fact it sounds so difficult, just that name alone, it's actually very easy to make. But you need to understand what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it. So what I wanted to show you is a technique, a flow, a series of tools, and how to organize yourself in the kitchen to make a dish that's very simple, but at the same time, it's truly spectacular. It only uses very simple ingredients. We have strawberries, sugar, egg yolks, and a little orange liqueur. Put together in the fashion and the flow which I will share with you, you will be astonished. Now come with me. Let's take a look at the strawberries. They're beautiful. You know, I bought them at the market. They're fantastic. They say organic. And how should we treat these particular beauties? When we handle the strawberries, I want you to do two things. Cut the bottom off. Say, why? Trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. I'm trying to tell you a story. Don't ask me so many questions. My wife says, Nick, but nobody's talking to you. You're alone. You're on television. But in my head, I have all sorts of questions and answers that I want to give you. Now, next thing you do, cut them in half. Then you cut them in quarter. You cut them in half. You cut them in quarter. Same with the other one. Now watch what happens as I open the strawberries. These were very fresh. They were bought this morning at the market. You see the white on the inside? Do you see the white on the inside? Do you see the white on the inside? This is something terrible that happens to all of us, all around the country. I don't care if you're on the East Coast, if you're on the West Coast. This, unfortunately, is a problem that we do have, that in spite of the fact that fruit is labeled fresh and farm grown, sometimes they're taken out of the field before they have ripened properly. The white that you see in the inside is the sign that this was not done correctly all the way through. It was simply shipped to market a little bit too early. Why was it, by the way, that I cut it in quarters? Why was it that I did not cut it in slices? Why was it that I did not dice it? We're going to put a series of ingredients, one of which has an acidic content to it, and that is the orange liqueur. Just a splash of it. We want to give it a bit of a flavoring. The orange liqueur will allow us to extract the juices of the strawberry, but still the strawberries are not as sweet as they should be. So how are we going to make sure that the strawberries taste the way that Mother Nature wanted them to taste? And this is the solution that I have for you. By the way, I've used it forever. It's fantastic. Sugar, an abundant amount of sugar. You put it on top. You want to actually now mix them together just like this. You'll see that the sugar completely disappears. Before your very eyes, before you know what's taking place, there is a chemical reaction that is taking place. The acidity contained in the liqueur is drawing out the juices. The juices are meeting with the sugar. The sugar and the juices combine into the making almost of a saucy-like liquid, which will give just to this particular part of the dish a wonderful impact. You will see what I want to show you later on. Simple technique. 1, 2, 3, but truly creates a wonderful yield. Let's talk about the next most important thing. When you get to this, you want to have all of your ingredients already laid out. And I'm saying this because many times I teach classes and people say, you know, I tried to do this and then I was trying to do the eggs. Once you get going, all you want to have is the egg yolks already separated. They must be separated. Because if you try to do them as you put together the dessert, one of the biggest problems that will happen is that you don't have enough egg yolks in the bowl on the double boiler. And on top of it, one will coagulate, will harden up, and by the time you add the other one, it's already over. It's finished. The tool that you need is a double boiler. Some of us do have double boiler. I have a collection of them, but that's because I have all sorts of pots and pans. I got pots and pans inside my garage. My wife says, well, why? I only have one car, but I have warehouses of pots and pans. But most of us don't have all these special tools. So one of the things that I like to do is to make techniques that are very simple. A double boiler works on a concept where the water underneath is rolling, not at a boil, but at a gentle simmer for the making of this. What I do in this particular case, I take a glass bowl that you can find anywhere and I place it right on top of it. The glass bowl in this particular case now is acting as a lid to the heat that's coming from underneath, and it's starting to coat with heat the bottom of it. It's a gentle cooking process. It's going to be caressing things. Now, what is it that we want to do next? The next thing that we want to do is add the egg yolks. But as we add the egg yolks, what is the goal that we're going for it? Many times, if you understand what you're going for, what is that you're trying to create, and the final yield that you're looking for, then you know how to flow into this process. So the one thing that you want to do is to put the egg yolks right in here. More often than not, in the old days, this old recipe was done with this particular whisk. This whisk is wonderful. It's fantastic. It's of great quality. I love it. I use it more often than not for many recipes, but not for this one. Do you remember the movie with, I think it was with Pacino, that says, welcome, meet my little friend. This guy is unbelievable. So, this is what I'm going to do now. We want to break him up first. Actually, it's almost too powerful. We want to break him up with, and we want to make sure that they start to open up. As the heat gets from underneath, the eggs are trying to cook, but they cannot cook all the way through because it's a soft, long, prolonged heat. And then what you want to do, as the eggs are starting to ask to finally yield onto it, you want to add sugar. And as you add the sugar, you're actually building this particular recipe a little bit at a time. I have the bowl right next to me. We're putting it through, we're building it even more. Look at this. The sugar is now mixing together with the eggs. The eggs and the sugar are starting to create the volume. This will take you several minutes, but I want you to pay close attention to the mixture that we have in the bowl, because this mixture is going to triple in size with the gentle heat coming from underneath, forcing the eggs to absorb and to close up. The eggs, what they're doing, they're trapping air. The air is brought in from the whisking that we have. This whisking has a very important structure in the making of this recipe. It's a very precise, very simple recipe, but the technique is mandatory. You need to have this constant flow. I'm going to stop for a second. I want to show you something. You see, right now they're still liquid. I want you to focus on this. As they're so liquid, they're not ready to be called zabaglione. Zabaglione is once the egg move up. Let me continue with this and let me show you exactly what I mean. Now, we basically are at midpoint, and I want to show you the growth that has been in the change of the texture. We are halfway through, but look at this. I'm going to put my finger in here. You see now, we have a nice, you see the streaming coming down, this ribboning? This is the proof of what we're going at. This is the point where you want to add the next ingredient. The next ingredient is the personality that I want to give it, and that's the orange liqueur. Some of you do not handle alcohol well. You cannot have it in your food. You can do without. This is fantastic as it is. But if you can't afford to have it, please do. And orange liqueur in this particular recipe makes a perfect match. Use the same brand of what you actually marinated the strawberries in. Now we get to the point that the consistency is exactly it. It's full of bubbles, it's full of air. This is Zabaglione, the way Zabaglione is meant to be. Look at this. You have to see it. I'm going to put my finger in here again. You see it? Nice, flowing. It's gorgeous. Mamma mia, I'm good. Follow me. These are the strawberries that I mixed before. In the marinade, you can already see it glistening. These are the juices, the natural juices that are coming right out of the strawberries. Okay, I made a big mess. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up real fast. When I come back, I'm going to show you how to plate this dessert. And this is a great idea for you to do at your next party. Okay, this is how we do it when we serve lots and lots of people. You want to have all of your ingredients ready and then almost move through in an assembly line. This is going to be great also at home when you have your guests. If all of this is done and ready to go, finally when you put it out, you will thank me forever. Let's take a look at the strawberries. You get to see what happened. Check this out. Strawberries have lost even more of the juice. You see down at the bottom, that is so glossy. This is fantastic. This is the sauce that comes with it naturally. Now, let me move the strawberries away. This is what I like to serve them in, a martini glass. Why? It's so much fun. Watch this. Martini glass gives us several advantages. First and foremost, it spreads everything wide. Then it leaves enough that it makes it easy with a small spoon or a fork as you start to eat it to kind of get into it and really enjoy it. Don't be silly when you do this at home. This bowl is very, very hot. So what I've done with this bowl, I put it on something of a trivet underneath that prevents it from either burning the surface underneath or burning anything else that you might have. Don't touch it with your hands. So I have a spoon. I'm going to take this and I bring it right here. And watch what happens as I put it right in. Guarda. This to me is what beauty is all about. A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. You see, guarda, guarda che bellezza. See, now what you're seeing is the Zabaglione penetrating all the layers of the strawberries. It's marrying with them. It's nice and thick sauce. This egg-based sweetness is the price for you working so hard. I know that I should be looking at you, but I'm looking at the Zabaglione saying to myself, should I really give it to them? I don't think so. Maybe I'll keep it to myself, but I don't. You must be generous with everything that's beautiful. One last attachment is maybe one little leaf of mint on top, maybe two, to create the perfect combination of this flower that we just created. And Zabaglione, the strawberry and orange liqueur. And there it is.